Hello my dear students, welcome back. In my previous video I had started employee remuneration, the base salary and allowances. We had started with the terminology and the concepts of this employee remuneration, and the first concept that we had started was wage. What is wage? We had very well understood it, what this wage is all about. Today I am going to take up the other concepts here under the same heading, that is employee remuneration. The first concept that we had understood was about wage. So today I am going to discuss about salary. If we see what this salary is, it is defined as the remuneration which is paid to the clerical and managerial personnel which are employed on monthly or annual basis. This is how we define salary. That is, it is the remuneration which is paid to the employees who are hired on monthly or annual basis. And now here the distinction between wage and salary, if we talk of the current times, it does not seem to be valid. The difference between these two, that is wage and salary, it doesn't seem to be valid in these days of human resources approach. Why? Because under human resources approach, all employees are treated as human resources, and all these employees are viewed at par. And hence nowadays both these terms, that is wage and salary, they are interchangeably used. Fine. And hence we can define both salary as well as wage together as the direct remuneration paid to an employee compensating his services to an organization. This is how we define salary and wage together. Sometimes this salary, this is also sometimes known as basic pay. Now we have one more concept here, which is earnings. Now what is this earnings? Earnings are the total amount of remuneration which is received by an employee during a given period of time. So this is the total remuneration which is received by an employee. But you have to keep it in mind, this earning is for a particular period of time. And hence what comes here in this earning? It includes salary, which I said is also called as the basic pay. Then this earnings also includes DNS allowances. This earnings also includes house rent allowances. It also includes city compensatory allowances. Sometimes if we work for overtime, we are getting overtime payment is also, that is also included in this earnings. Now the next concept here is nominal wage. What is this nominal wage? It is the wage paid or received in monetary terms by the employees. This nominal wage, it is also called as, this is also known as money wage. Now I give you an example for this nominal wage. For example, a worker gets rupees, say for example 500 from his or her organization in exchange of services rendered by him or her. So in this case, the rupees 500 or whatever amount he is receiving from the organization, it is regarded as nominal wage. Now we have one more concept here, which is called as real wage. Now real wage is the amount of wage arrived after discounting the nominal wage by living cost. Now this real wage, what it does, it represents the purchasing power of this nominal wage or money wage. Now the next concept here is, it is take home salary. What is this take home salary? Now take home salary, it is the amount of salary left to the employee after making authorized deductions. In those authorized deductions, we have contribution to the provident fund, we have life insurance premium, we have income tax and other charges. So after deducting all these authorized deductions or the contributions to the different like provident fund to insurance and deducting the income tax from the salary, we are going to get take home salary. I give you like in short we can say take home salary is equal to gross salary minus income tax minus contribution, or I can say employee contribution to provident fund and less income tax. That is, take home salary is equal to gross salary minus income tax minus contribution to provident fund and minus tax. Which tax? Income tax. And here we are talking about the tax which is professional income tax, and this professional income tax, it varies from state to state, and approximately it is 200 rupees per month and a maximum professional tax of rupees 2500 in a year. Now here the next part here is of this discussion, we have minimum wage. What is this minimum wage? It is the amount of remuneration which could meet the normal needs of the average employee regarded as a human being living in a civilized society. What is this minimum wage now? So here we can say this minimum wage, it will enable a worker to live in a reasonable comfort, to live in a reasonable comfort, having regard to all obligations to which an average worker would ordinarily be subjected to. So here this is going to meet the minimum requirements or the minimum needs of an employee or a worker. Now we have next concept here which is statutory minimum wage. It is the amount of remuneration which is fixed according to the provisions of the Minimum Wage Act 1948. Then we have one more which is the living wage. Now when I talk about this living wage, according to the Committee on Fair Wages, the living wage is the highest amount of remuneration, and naturally it would include the amenities which a citizen living in modern civilized society is entitled to, right? Entitled to expect here. So this living wage, this is possible only when the economy of country is sufficiently advanced and the employer can meet the expanding like expectations of the employees. Now we have here one more concept which is the fair wage. The fair wages are equal to that received amount by workers performing work of equal scale, difficulty or unpleasantness. So it determines here like fair wage, that is for how much time you have worked, right? So accordingly the amount which you are receiving would be the fair wage for that employee. Now we have here next one which is incentive wage. This incentive wage, this is the amount of remuneration paid to a worker over and above the normal wage. Above the normal wage, whatever he is receiving, that is called as incentive wage. So why is this incentive wage paid to the employees? It is because that employee would have made some contribution in the form of number one, production, that is more production he is doing or she is doing, or that employee would have saved some time, or that employee would have saved some material in an organization. That is why he is receiving some extra incentive here, which is called as incentive wage here. Then we have one more, it's called as wage rate. So this, what is this wage rate? Wage rate, it is the amount of remuneration for a unit of time. excluding incentives, overtime pay. So it doesn't include any incentive or if you are receiving any payment for overtime work. Now when we talk of one more concept here, which is standard wage rate. This is the amount of wage which is fixed for a unit for a unit of time for a unit of time and is fixed on the basis of job evaluation standards. Now let us discuss about the major factors affecting wages and salary administration. Here the first one is the organization's ability to pay. Like here the wage and salary, it depends upon the ability of the organization. For example, if we take small organizations, and then if we take about the large organizations, so mostly small organizations pay lesser pay when compared to the large organizations, because it depends upon the size and profitability of the organizations. So mostly it is assumed that bigger organizations have more profits and hence they pay more, and smaller organizations have lesser profit and hence they pay less. Then we have here next one, that is supply and demand of labor and levels of scale. So in this concept, what is happening? The wage and salary of employees depends upon the supply and demand of labor in the labor market. Now increase in demand when the supply is constant, or higher growth rate of demand related to supply lead to increase in wage rates and salary, and vice versa, right? And one more we have here is level of skill, whether we have unskilled labor, we have semi skilled labor, or we have highly skilled labor. So depending upon the level of skills, that is going to decide the wage and salary of those employees. Then we have next one is the prevailing market rate in a governmental legislation on wages. Now when I talk about this, government legislations are going to influence wage determination. We have here two important legislations which affect wage fixation. In that we have first one, the Payment of Wages Act 1936 and the Minimum Wage Act 1948. There are very important provisions of the Payment of Wages Act 1936, which are, first one is ensuring proper payment of wages and avoiding all malpractices. In that we have first one, non-payment of salary, then second one is underpayment of salary, then third one is delayed and irregular payment. Then if we talk about the provisions of the Minimum Wage Act 1948, the first one is the act seeks to protect the workers from underpayment of wages for their efforts. So in this act, that is the Minimum Wage Act 1948, it provides for fixing, first one is minimum wages in certain employments, then minimum time rate, then minimum piece rate, then guaranteed time rate, along with that overtime rate and basic pay and DA also. Then we have here next one, the next one is trade unions bargaining power and judicial directions. Here when we talk about the trade unions bargaining power and judicial directions, here collective bargaining, it is, if we talk about this collective bargaining, what this is, it is a procedure in which compromise is reached through balancing of opposed strengths. It is a means through which employee problems relating to various issues including wages are settled. In case if these problems are not settled through collective bargaining, they may be then settled through voluntary arbitration or adjudication. Then the next one here is, now the one more here is job requirements and working conditions. Now here salary and wage depends upon the job requirements of an organization, because an organization needs employees at different levels, and at all those different levels the job uh, is different, and hence the wage and salary would be different at all those levels. Now we are talking about here the working condition. Now what type of work you are doing will determine your salary. Then one more is managerial attitudes. It is the attitude of managers towards the employees, right? Here this managerial attitude, they have a decisive influence on the wage structure and wage level, since a judgment is exercised in many areas of wage and salary administration. It includes whether the firm should pay below average or above average rates, what job factors should be used to reflect job worth, the weight to be given for performance or length of service, and so forth. So all these matters here, they require the approval of top executives. Now one more factor here is psychological and social factors. When we talk about psychological and social factors, they determine what? They determine the wage and salary of employees. These psychological and social factors, they measure how hard a person will work for the compensation received, or what pressure he will exert to get his compensation increased. Mostly when we talk about this psychological factor, psychologically persons perceive the level of wages as a measure of success in life. People may feel secure, have an inferiority complex, seem inadequate, or feel the reverse of all these. So these all come in the psychological factors here. They may not sometimes take pride in their work or in the wages they get. Why? Because this is all related to their psychological parameter. Now when we talk about sociological factor, mostly sociologically and ethically, people feel that equal work should carry equal wages. That wage should be commensurate with their efforts. They should feel like they are not exploited, and there is no distinction made on the basis of caste, on the basis of color, on the basis of gender or religion. So hence this is very imperative for the management to satisfy the conditions of equity, fairness and justice, right? They should take care of this. Then we have levels of skills available in the market. Now with the rapid growth of industries, business, trade, there is shortage of skilled resources, especially when we talk about the Indian market where skilled labor is not properly available. The technological development, automation has been affecting the skills at a very faster rate. Thus, the wage levels of skilled employees are constantly changing, and an organization has to keep its level up to suit the market needs. Thank you so much for watching this video. My dear friends, if you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe my channel, and please do like, comment and share my videos with your friends. Thank you so much.